you about that. Oh, I have to write. I gotta write. Looks like I'm writing backwards to me, but I can do it. But Shalom, Yasharallah. Today, we're going over Hebrew pronouns, gender pronouns, and we're going to go over the plural and singular pronouns. So, plural and singular nouns, we'll deal with that, but they're all going to be feminine because certain Hebrew letters are going to deal with masculine and feminine vibrations. So, for example, when you deal with the word for son and the word for daughter, they're a bit different, but kind of the same. You'll see the pronouns that will happen. Mainly, it's the feminine that will change the word, right? Because sometimes masculine words are dominant, so you will have to add a extra character to make it feminine. And it's the same thing with other words, but it's not as prominent. Okay, this is writing like this so y'all can see. Hope that's right. So one is son, the other is daughter. It's kind of hard for me to see here. I have to write kind of backwards so it looks right on the screen. So I have to check myself. So the top is Both. Bon. Bon is son. So this is masculine. But Both, the at the end, the Hebrew letter that we went over previously, tha, So that's the word thaw right there. It's added within the word bun. They took the N and they added the thaw. Now, I'll show you later where na or noon is also used, but at the end. But when it deals with the child, as in bun and bath, thaw makes it feminine, right? So the base, which is bun, and then what makes it feminine is thaw, right? So let's get like straight to the point and delve into teaching about what's feminine and what's masculine in the Hebrew. So I'm gonna show you he in the Hebrew, right? This is he in the Hebrew. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay. So I'm already different. So this is he. That's ha wa ah, right? Just check this. You see, is he is ha wa ah. So ha wa ah. What makes it masculine and ha wa ah is the wa, right? And the wa makes it masculine. The wa. Write down the wa, which is this. So that was it makes he or hawa masculine. So hawa is masculine because the wa. And hawa written in the paleo will look like this. So that's he in the paleo. So that's ha wa ah. So when you deal with the ending, we'll get into this later, but I'm gonna go a little into it right now. When you deal with it, these sounds go together. They go together. Why? Because Hebrew just works that way, and our ancestors intended it to be that way. So instead of saying hawa ah, you just say hawa ah, and it's simple because you don't want to say, you know, some people say dawa da when you deal with David, but it's dawad. It's dawad, right? It's not dawa da, right? You don't say when you say bayath as a house, you don't say bayatha, right? You don't sound it completely out. You drop the last letter, which out of tha, which is a, and I'll give you an example. But I'm gonna show you the first example, which is this, and I'm gonna write out hawa the transliteration of hawa and I'm gonna show you where you drop the ending, letter, right? This is ha. This is wa, and this is and this Now, it looks a little different than what I showed you previously, but that's it. That's ha, wa, ah, ha, right? Ha, wa, ah, ha. But because at the ending, what you do with the two ending characters is you put them together instead of ha, wa, ah, and them being individual of their own with a sound. The two last characters you put together, they have to have a, a combined sound, and the combined sound forces you to drop a character in the English language. So the English language at the end, which or the sound, which ha, you're missing the A. It's just huh, right? So this A, you'll drop it. You'll drop that A and leave the H, right? And it's ha wa ah. Ha wa ah. So it's ha wa ah instead of ha wa ah ha. It's a little too much. So you drop it at the end. These are things that we need to know when you deal with the Hebrew. When you deal with the Hebrew, combined sounds at the end of a word is very important because you don't want to do all the dawada and the bayata and all that. You just dawad bayath, right? And instead of hawa aha, it's just hawa ah, because you make those two ending characters, which is ah and ha, compacted together, and it's just ah. Now, hopefully, I didn't digress too much, but the next character, which deals with she, after we just done here, which was hawa'a, is haya'a, right? It's haya'a. It's haya'a. So this is she in the Paleo Hebrew. Yeah. But this is she. So she is haya'a. So the difference between hawa'a is the ya. The ya makes it feminine. So most Hebrew characters, at the end, the character will make it feminine at the end. So these two words are they're misfits, or just one in a million, in a sense that the feminine character is in the middle. Usually it's in the end, and you'll see that. So it's hi ya ah, right? So just previously, like we showed, so hi ya ah in the Hebrew is this. So that's what it is. It's hi ya ah ha. But just like we went over, the ending two characters, you combine the sound. You don't change the sound. The ending two characters, you combine the sound, and it's instead of ha ya aha, it's ha ya ah, ha ya ah. So those two ending characters, you smush the sound together. Now, for they, I'm gonna show you for they in Hebrew. So this is feminine. So how to say they in Hebrew is feminine. So it's han. And the nun, you'll see a lot where it changed. So tha and nun, or na, or tha and na, those sounds, they make a feminine noun. So when you when you deal with I'll show you soon. So none is just a feminine noun. I have other stuff that'll lead into show why none is. But this is the character. It's like in. No, right? So none is feminine. When you deal with feminine characters, none is one of them. So, for instance, if you ever wanted to greet the sisters, you can say Barak Atha, but a feminine way to make sure that they know personally, you'll say Barak Athan, you, Barak Athan, she, her, you as in her. So Barak Athan, bless her. So, Salakia. Just so you don't get it confused, because if a man and a female is standing next to each other and you're trying to bless the woman specifically, you would say Barak Athan, because you say Atha, they're thinking both of each other, because Atha just means you. It doesn't have a gender pronoun, right? It doesn't have a gender vibe. It doesn't have a feminine vibe to it. So it's just Barak Atha. So, we'll get into that soon. But they is hun. 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 And how you would spell hun in the Paleo Hebrew, let me erase it. Right. That's how you would spell hun in the Paleo Hebrew. Now, the transliteration, I'll show you. We'll go over again why it's spelled like that. But if you sound it out, it is ha, na. And then you're like, well, you said ha, hun, ha, na, ha, na, instead of ha, na, right? Because you put these two ending characters together with each Hebrew word, that's what happens. Otherwise, instead of hun, you're going to get this. You're going to get that. So you got H-A-A-H-N-A. You're going to get ha, na, ah. But when you're dealing with Hebrew words, you drop the last character. I mean, when you deal with the transliteration, you don't drop the last character, the Hebrew character. But when you deal with the English transliteration to give you the best idea, you drop the last character. So instead of N-A, it's just N. Instead of N, it's N. So, ha, n. Han. Shalom, shalom. So when you deal with these characters, you always have to drop the sound, the end sound. You have to cut it short, almost like in half. So when you deal with the English transliteration, that's why I like transliterating it from Hebrew to English, because once you get the transliteration of the sound, and that's basically what they did, transliterate the sound, which is ha, and then ah, and then na. But it's when you deal with the Hebrew, you put these together and you make it more of, you don't make the na silent, but you make the ah sound, the ah sound, and na silent, right? So instead of just ha, na, ha, ah, na, it's ha, an, ha, an, han, right? So we're going to deal with the masculine they, right? So the masculine counterpart of they is Ham. Now, when you think of the Hamite nations, like Ham, Ham, it's kind of the same, but it means they, right? Some Hebrew characters, they'll mean something different, with a word, but then something different. Like it's just, they'll have different meanings sometimes. Certain Hebrew character combinations. But right now, don't think of the nation of Ham. Think of they when you hear hum. Usually, I don't like using these two because of that, but it's written like that, right? So this is a transliteration of hum. Well, I'm gonna do the paleo for hum, right? So it's just gonna be So that would be the full transliteration. So without dropping the transliteration at the end, the a sound of ma, right? Yeah, I missed a step. The step is that ma, this character right here. I'm gonna write it under. It is masculine. Ma is masculine. Ma is masculine. Ma makes certain Hebrew words masculine. It's a masculine character. Ma. Even when you deal with the male privy member, the male sexual organ, it has ma, than in it, right? Mama tha or mama than, right? So I believe it's mama tha, right? So it has that masculine character in it, making it masculine, right? So you have hum, and it makes hum masculine to they. So, dealing with how you spell hum in the Paleo Hebrew, hum is spelled in the Paleo Hebrew ha-ah-ma, right? And when you think of ha-ah-ma, you're like, well, that's too much. It's just ha ha That's why you went in the transliteration, how I transliterated, I still leave that a in, but I know personally to drop the a at the end of the word. So at the end of you would not have ma, you would drop the ma. You would drop the a, right? You would drop that a, and you would make it hum, ha right? So we got to remember these things when we're writing Hebrew words. Masculine and feminine characters are very important. Sometimes they get straight to the point instead of saying, you know, Barakatha, you know, Barakatha Bun or Barakatha Baf. You could just say Barak a Thun or Barak a Thumb to make it feminine and masculine, and just get straight to the point and cut a whole word off. Get straight to the point. You can drag out your sentences like that if you want to, but if you want to get straight to the point, when you're dealing with gender pronouns, you would rather use the feminine and masculine characters to let your sister know that you want to bless her instead of an other who may be masculine, a man. So it'll be more direct, singling out who you're blessing, and also it gets straight to the point. It's cut to the chase, right? Now, when you're dealing with possessive but singular pronouns, since I started with I'll start with female, right? So it's the same thing. It's straight up one character, and I'm gonna show you. So this is for her. What is that? Ha. That's for her. It's that simple. It's for her. Ha. Ha. So you want to say that's her book. Hashafar. Hashafar. That's her book. Uh, that's her cup. Hakawas. Her cup. That's her chariot. Ha Rakab. Hamarakab, right? So that's possessive. Shalom, shalom. So that's a possessive character. We want over possessive or feminine So the tha and the na is for the sisters, and the wa and the ma is for the brothers. So if I want to say for the brothers, I want to say bless the brothers. I will say Barak a thumb. If I want to say bless the sisters, I will say Barak a thun. Right? Feminine and masculine. So that's the difference between the characters. Con. So this is possessive. This is her. And this is all you have to use. Just one character. Now, when you deal with singular characters, I don't think I have to tell you this, but when you deal with singular characters, you don't have to drop the transliteration of it, the A of the transliteration of it. You just keep it, right? Because it's singular. You only do that at the end of words where you have to connect the two sounds. So you don't end up saying dawada instead of dawad, or like bayatha instead of bayath, right? So, feminine, simple, ha. Letter is hun, which is ha. You want to say that's hers, it's ha. Ha kawas. Ha shafar, her book, right? For her bed is her mamata. For her door is her dialoth. Ha dialoth, right? For her door. Her house, ha bayath, right? Or bayath ha. Sometimes you can put it at the end, bayath ha. And I'm going to show you because there's no word in the Old Testament or in the Hebrew language that I know of for princess. Instead of saying princess, it will say malak bath. So that means king's daughter. So instead of saying princess, it's king's daughter, malak bath. And they'll put it straight at the end, so it'll let you know. But when you deal with men, we have our own masculine word for prince, and that's Shar. When you deal with Jacob's name, his name is Yasharallah, prince of the power. Yashar Allah. Yashal Allah, right? Prince of the power. And the feminine, we over went Salakia, masculine for he. Check. Her, his, possessive, not he, is wa. So when it comes to singular, like his, her is ha, and for his, wa, right? So most likely it will go in the end because you'll be confused if you said wa bayath. If you said wa bayath, you would think and bayath. But if you put bayath wa, it would mean as in his house. Or kawas wa, it would mean as his cup. Or shafar wa, it would be his book. But it will be switched around. It can be the same for the sisters if you want to say bayath ha, shafar ha, kawas ha, dalath ha, bayath ha, right? It would be easier because when you deal with the Hebrew, we read from left to right. So you're going to say ha at the end, and it's going to make more sense, right? Right now, I'm not writing left to right. I'm not even writing left to right in the paleo. I'm doing it forward. So I'm even messing up on that. Usually when I'm writing, I know to write left to right. Or actually, I am writing when I'm facing here. This is right, so I should be writing left to right. It will look like I'm going right, but the camera's kind of flipped. But I'm writing this way, so you can see it properly, right? Because to me, I'm writing backwards, but to you, I'm writing just how I need to write. So that deals with the possessive, and we're gonna get into there, right? So when you deal with there, the masculine there, or we just did, so let's do feminine. It's not. Nah. So that's feminine. Feminine for there, that's na. Na, which is this character. Na. Just like I went over previously, Barak a thun. So you'll tell her Barak a thun, right? So when you're saying there, or if you want to mean to multiple women, for there or them, you will say Barak a thun. Even with possessive, because some brothers, you know some brothers they got multiple wives, so you would say a thun ayash, their man, right? For all of them that's possessive, their man, or a thun bayath, their house, but it's a woman, it's feminine. It's feminine. So let's deal with the masculine there. And the masculine there is simple, like I said earlier. So it's right. Is ma, which is this character. Ma. So the masculine character for there is ma. That's why when you deal with men, you will say Barak a thumb. If you wanted to say their home, you would say a thumb bayash, bayath, right? So their home. Uh, let's say their elder, a thumb zakan. Their cattle, for men, their cattle, a thumb alaf. Their children, or their child, right? Uh, I'm gonna say children. So a thumb yalad, yaladium, right? Con. We all should learn our ancient language, man. We should always go back to the root of the branch, man. The root of the tree. And dealing with all this English, this bastardized English language, dealing with spelling, spells, right? We need to go back to our original language. And if we wanted to pray and to be heard more, we already know the first part of prologue, or the ending part of the prologue of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, lets you know that the other words other than the Hebrew don't have much force in them. So when we pray and we're sincere, let's say a brother or sister, or we are in very deep need of prayer, we want to speak the Hebrew so the Most High can hear us. You're not gonna walk up to a Issachar and speak English all the time if he only knows, Latin. You're not gonna walk to Edom if he only speaks Greek or German. You got to speak that language. So if you want to speak to the Most High, you have to speak His language. You got to talk His talk. Just like we have to convert ourselves and follow His commandments and follow His ways to be like Him. We got to do the things that He does. Even His son, Hamashiach, that came, spoke Hebrew. On multiple occasions spoke Hebrew. And I believe Paul spoke Hebrew as well when he was speaking out to the crowd of Israel and the Roman guards were there. He spoke Hebrew. And also Paul said a curse, which is anathema maranatha. So there, which we showed, the female character for plural character is none. And the masculine character, plural character, is ma, right? So if you want to deal with like plural, it's like we said for there or just plural period, we're going to deal with the masculine. We'll do feminine. So when you deal with feminine for plural period, for just multiple people, take a look at that, because I know I'm writing backwards, but I'm still going to make sure. Yep. So when you deal with plural is wa. Wath. So that's why we say akwath, right? Akwath at the end for plural. And that's why we say, and the next one is yum, but we'll show you. So akwath, which makes it feminine. Akwath, which is wa. So when you have two characters, you can also link the sound together because it's two characters. Now, single characters, like I showed you earlier, you don't have to link them together, but you do have to link, more than one character together. Otherwise, I'll show you again. Instead of wa, tha, you will have wa, tha, ah. Right? You have wa, tha, ah instead of wath. You have wa, tha, ah. Right? So you have to drop that A at the end. And it'll make it wa, tha, wath. So, masculine, plural, So when you deal with the masculine, yum. So when you deal with the masculine is yum. See, ya, ma, yum. Now it has to go connected together. Otherwise, it'll be yama instead of yum. It'll be yama, right? So I'll show you the transliteration. This is ya. This is ma. So it will be yama if you don't link them together and cut the sound short at the end and make it yum by dropping this A. You have to drop the A in the transliteration. So it will be yum. And you'll do this with two or more characters. Always, always, back to back, two or more characters. Otherwise, you'll have weird sounding words. Like instead of yum, you'll have yumma. And then now you might have a whole new different Hebrew word because it's yama. And just like I went over previously, I'm gonna show you. So the base word, which is this is a great example. That's a tha. That's a tha. A tha has no feminine or masculine. It just means you. It just means you, right? When I'm writing, it looks so weird to me, but I know it's right because I'm looking at the camera. So that means it means you, right? So Barakathum means him. So this has no gender pronouns. That it just means you. This has gender pronouns. It has the ma at the end. So Barakatha means him. So a thun, as you can see, means her. So that's the difference. They have those two gender pronouns at the end, and those two characters, one masculine, one feminine, changes what it is meaning or who it's directed to. Right? It doesn't change its meaning, but just changes who it's directed to. Salaki. So we have ma, and then we have na. So we have ma and we have na. One ma is masculine, na is feminine. So if you want to tell a sister for her, as in you, or as in him or her, you will say for her, you will say a thun. You wanted to bless her, say Barak a thun. If you want to bless your brother, him, you wanted to bless him, you'll say Barak a thumb. Barak a thumb. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak a thumb. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak a thun. Right? Or, you know, just keep it simple. Like when you hear M, we all know M is like your brother, right? Akhim, right? And we already know that Akwath deals with women as well. So now we know that the M or the W, which is a lot of us don't know, like the W, the wa, is masculine, and the na for women is feminine. Because I run past a lot of brothers who just say a tha. And when I greet the sisters, they're like, why are you saying a thun? Because na is feminine. So now we're gonna go over like straight words that I believe we went over. Straight words that are towards a specific gender, like boy, girl, son, daughter, mom, father, you know, things of that sense. And actually, I can do grandmother and grandfather too. I might do that as well, but I'm gonna go through these first. Right? So, son, for like son and daughter, I'm gonna put them together. Bond. So, you have son and daughter. Oh. So you have son and daughter. As you can see, the th at the end makes it a woman, a female, right? So when you look at bun, don't look at bun as a feminine noun for it. Look at bun as a base letter, a base word for just for son, like, and then you make it feminine. Like when you deal with a th, it doesn't have a gender pronoun. But this word is straight masculine. Why is it like that? It was just created like that. Okay, so for it to be feminine, we have to drop the N and make it th. And it's very simple. It's, so in the paleo spelled like this. So you have bath, and then you have bon, as you can see. And as I reiterated, you're always, when it's two or more characters, you combine the last, the sound, the character sound. So instead of ba, tha, it's bath. Instead of bon na, it's bon. Because bana is actually a Hebrew word for build. So if you're spelling bon in the full transliteration, you're spelling bana as in build, right? So, as I said before, when you don't drop that last transliteration or that last sound at the end, you end up making sometimes a whole new Hebrew word. And once I'm done with this, I'm gonna show you an example between bun and bana, right? Bana, or I believe it's bara. Bara is create, and bana is build, right? So we already know at the end, tha, ba, tha, and then bun. Bun is just a, think of it as a base word. It doesn't really have no, it's just meant for the sun. So you make it a feminine noun by adding the tha at the end, right? It's like you deal with ak, wath, and you just made the ak to a feminine noun. So I'm just going to erase wath right here. I'm really actually going to erase all of it and try to write it a little bit better. So as you can see, one is ban and the other is build, bana, right? So you're like, I can clearly see that I cannot get these two mixed up. But if you're not doing as I'm saying you're supposed to, you will, right? So this is transliteration of ban. Now, if you're writing it out and do the transliteration, and you put ba na instead of dropping the a, it's gonna sound just like bana, and you're gonna be confused and you can confuse others when you're reading or speaking Hebrew to them. Instead of saying ban, they'll know, oh, ban, but you're saying bana in the full transliteration instead of having this loop at the end and connecting them and dropping the a at the end to make it bun instead of bana is going to look confusing. But if you're writing, it's very hard for somebody to get that mixed up if you're writing, right? And I'm gonna show you what. So that's how you spell bana in the Hebrew. And if you look at bana in the Hebrew, you look at that, oh, you can't mistake that because it has the al at the end. So, but instead of but nah, what you would do is drop the a and it's bana. I mean, drop the h and it's bana, right? You drop the h and it's kind of like an extra a at the end. but the really the A is kind of like silent. But then it's just bana, right? So it's bana instead of bana, bana. It's bana, and then instead of ba na, you drop the A and it's bun. So you won't really get it mixed up when you writing. Writing is easy, but when you're speaking to one of another, you got to take that in consideration because you confuse somebody if you're saying it like bana, because you sound like you're saying build instead of bun, son. So we want to make sure we always connect at the end to make like give clarity. Like when you deal with Hebrew, Hebrew straightforward, and you want to give clarity of what you're saying. Straight to the point, give them clarity. Simple, because you gotta understand our people. It's simple. They need something simple. They don't need something too broad of terms, all types of mix mash, because that's what politicians do. That's what publicans and Democrats do. Or they talk all nice and sweet and give you broad terms that mean nothing or mean completely different things than you thought it was, right? So when you're dealing with the Hebrew, do it for clarity, straightforward, and 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 just make it so it's real hard to be misinterpreted, especially when you're speaking it orally. So we just went through Bath and Bun. Next is next is mom and father. Now, when you look at mom and father, they completely break all the rules that I showed you, right? When you deal with ma, that's mom, and you deal with ba, that's father. But previously, we talked about Hebrew feminine and masculine characters. Feminine and masculine characters are not always needed. Just like I showed you the letter bon for son, you would think when you deal with feminine and masculine characters, it would be feminine. But like these words are just what they are. You know, you can't tell whether they feminine or masculine by the characters within them. You just have to know what the word is. This is ba, and this is ma, right? It's not the other way around. It's just like it is. One is father, Abba is father, and Amma is mother. So you're gonna have like exceptions to certain rules when you deal with Hebrew. You get confounded. It's like, well, I thought it worked this way. But when you just look at the writings, like the straight paleo writings, you'll get clarity. And you'll be able to do that once we go deeper into the Hebrew, and I do transliterations right beside the paleo and right beside the English, and then you'll start to learn how to do it yourself, and you'll just understand some words are just, they're wild cards, and they just mean what they mean. So this is a great example. Ba, and then ma. The characters within them don't really matter. They just mean what they mean. Now, back to it. Wa and ha. Now, it's the same thing. Usually, when you deal with a word, most likely the word is just going to be straight up masculine. I'm going to show you. So that so that means king. So when you look at that Malik, you're like, okay, I can see how it's masculine. It starts with a masculine character, but it's just how it is. It's just like bond. It's meant for the word to be king, right? But you can make Malik feminine. And some people will say Malakawath. Malakawath, I believe, is multiple queens, right? But it's Malika, right? So, what makes Malika instead of Malik? Malika, Malika is feminine because ha, right? This character, this guy right here, ha, ha, makes it feminine. When you look at ha, like we went over before, wa would make it masculine, ha would make it feminine, and that's singular. So if you want to say plural, you would say Malakawath. If you want to be plural with Malik, you just put Malikyum, right? So Malakawath would be plural, Malikyum would be plural. It would just be Malik for king and Malikha for queen. And how do you spell those in the paleo? That's how you spell Malik, the masculine here in the paleo. Malak. Malak. Right? Malak. Malak. Right? So at the end, you make sure that you combine those two characters from Malik. Instead, unless you're going to get Malaka. It still sounds the same, but it sounds like Malakaha or Malaka instead of Malik. Now, if you say Malakaha, ka, it's like, I think that's for female. So you confuse somebody. It's just Malak. You drop the A at the end of what you would think is a K, or the K, which is here, right here. You drop the A sound. It's Malaka. Malak instead of Malaka. Because if you say Malaka, you might be confused. Even though if you wanted to be, literal, the feminine is Ma La Ka Ha. malakaha. But if you're saying it quick, malaaka, you're like, okay, I think that's feminine. So you don't want to do that. You want to have clarity and drop the A after transliteration like I showed. Now this is the feminine. Ma, la. Now that's the feminine. Ma, ma, la, a, ka, ha. Malakaha. Or malaka. So when you deal with the translation, it's malaka. The H. This is the transliteration for the feminine. So it'll be like ma, la. Ka, ha. So when you think of it, it's like, oh, it's close. But that's ma, la, ka, ha. But it's malaka, right? It's malaka. So you drop that A, like I was saying before, and it's ka, ka. So the K-A-H, ka. Malaka. Right, and I'm gonna show you the masculine transliteration. So you think that's close too. Ma, la, ka. But it sounds like the last thing. So how would we make it sound like Malik? You drop the transliteration of the A. So drop that A like we've been doing for a while. Want to beat this into your head. Lock. So it's ma lock at the end. You see how they form together? And it's ma lack, lack, ma lack. The L-A-K at the end, so it's malak instead of malaka. And it'll confuse you, so it's just drop the A, it's malak. So our next word is what I showed you before. Prince has his own word. Which is Shaw. So, Prince has his own word and it's Shar. Shar. I hope that's. I'll try to do that. Try that. Shar. Shar. There you go. So Prince in the Hebrew is Shar. It's like our forefather, Yaakov, Yasharallah. He was changed to Yasharallah. So there's no counterpart for a female princess, but when you go into certain verses, you will see Malik Bath. all right, meaning king's daughter. So you're going to see a combination of words to get their point across. So when you think of a prince is the king's son. So instead of just making up a whole new word in the Hebrew language that didn't exist for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it didn't exist, they would Malik Bath, king's daughter. You could do the same thing for I guess son if you wanted Malik Ban, king's son. Still getting your point across, but because looking in the paleo verses, I don't see princess or equivalent word. It doesn't exist. The words that you see there is a combination of Malik Bath, king's daughter. So you'll never get these mixed up because one is Shar, which is prince, which is a whole word of its own, and you have combinations of two words to get their point across to say that this is the king's daughter, meaning princess in a sense, which is an English term that we use. So this would be the equivalent for princess, Malik Bath, king's daughter, and then prince Shar, the son, the name that God gave to Jacob. So it shows you the uniqueness of our forefather Jacob, because I believe if there's no term for the female, then before the Most High named him, there probably wasn't a term for that either. So that was probably something new on the earth, making him special. And how you would spell Shar in the Paleo Hebrew is Shah. Shah Ra. Right, you see that? Shah Ra. Transliteration was right there. Now, as you can see, we always have that same problem. Is Shara in the transliteration Shara. But because I always say, you see this end line right here, remember that. Because at the end, whenever you're dealing with two or more characters, the characters at the most end, the two, you must link the sounds together. So instead of Shara, it's just straight Shar. So what you would do is drop the A for Shar. So now you have Shar. So that's what you do when you're dealing with not the English, Salakia, the Paleo Hebrew. And let's deal with Malakabath, right? Malakabath. So Malik Bath, Salakia, Malik Bath. So when we deal with Malik Bath, it's just two words put together. All right. But I'm going to show you. There is points in the Hebrew, almost like a dot. But I'll just write it out for you. So that's what it would look like in the paleo. You would have Malik, a point, Both to separate them. Now, me personally, I developed my own writing and how I write for clarity. When you come here, we're gonna write for clarity because when you deal with the writings of like our forefathers, you really have to delve in them, study them, know them. Some letters look different. There's literal, like you can see I found errors in like certain translations where they were used the wrong character. But when you go over it, the transliteration to English got it right because they could tell it was an error in the paleo. So you'll find errors as well dealing with certain tablets because, like I said on our previous episodes, when you deal with the Most High name or when you mess up, we would bury the tablets. So when they found certain writings of tablets, some of them had errors on it, like simple errors. They'll miss one letter. I mean, one character, and there'll be a different word, and like, all right, I got to start all over again, and they'll bury it. And thousands of years later, we pick it up, right? So I personally write for clarity. I use dash lines, points. Let me see. Let me give you a very good, like the best I can. I won't give you nothing crazy, right? Something new. All right, so like so this is my book. This is my personal book that I write Hebrew in, and you can look at how we wrote. So that's Exodus, right? That's Exodus. It's Jeremiah. You look at some of the writings, and you can see I put dash, but this point is going to show up. This is ending something. This is the end of something, right? And sometimes you see the point to end sentences. Now, when you deal with Jeremiah and some of the best writings, if you want to learn writings from the Old Testament Paleo Hebrew website, look at Jeremiah, Daniel, Isaiah, and those three prophets, especially Daniel. Daniel was a wise man, one of the wisest men that walked on this earth, other than King Solomon. I've looked at King Solomon's writings, and I haven't looked at Songs of Solomon, but I look at Proverbs a lot. But Song of Solomon is real well. Look at Song of Solomon's. I've delved in them a little bit, but not as deep as I want to. But Daniel is definitely a great a writer. He orders everything phenomenally, right? So when you look at, what is this? This is Isaiah right here. Look at, so I write things for clarity. So I would, so you won't get these mixed up. I will put personal dashes in them. Where I put dashes, you see things like that. And I'll put dashes so you would know that I ended, like these are different words. I put dashes in them. So that's how I personally write. But the point is almost like a period. It's not always used, but certain prophets used them because they're wise men and they learned how to write and they developed their own writing or they learned the Hebrew writing just better than others. and you'll see that point come up. You'll see these points come up, and that separates words. It'll separate words that are used for a sentence, right? Sometimes it'll separate sentences. Sometimes it'll separate words so it doesn't look like it's making a new word. I'm still personally trying to understand why and when to implement the point. What I can tell you is you can always use the point as a period for like ending a sentence, right? When you look at Daniel's writings, the writings look just blocked down, ended points just like that. They look like brackets, right? They look like paragraphs side to side, like blocks, and it's phenomenal. They look nice, but you still need to use a period. Sometimes he'll have certain words end, but it's not ending the sentence. So he'll use a period to show you where the sentence ended, right? So in this instance, it's just using it to divide the word. Now, I will use three terms. There's child, girl, and boy. Two are similar. And then you have boy. Now, you have three different words. You have child, no feminine or masculine at all. You have girl, feminine. Child is your lad, right? So it's your lad. It's your lad. When you think of a boy, you think of a lad, right? You know how them Irish people are like, come here, lad, and come with your father. Come here, lad. They'll say lad. Um, I think a lamb, a child for a lamb is a lad as well, like a little lad when you think of it. It's like a little child. So it doesn't really have a gender, but it just means child. So when you deal with girl, is yalada. You got that ha at the end. It's yalada. Instead of yalad, it's yalada. So yalada means girl. So now when you deal with boy, boy is for male is completely different. It's not even what you would think. You add ma in it. It's not that you add wa in it. No yala wa, yawa ma. It's straight up near. And I had to find this out the hard way. I was like, what is word for boy? And I went back in the text. It's near. Like, why is it near? I don't know. But hey, some words are just meant the way they were for a specific reason. And that's how words are really effective, right? Sometimes gender pronouns help get straight across to the point, but words are effective because they have a meaning and a use. So you have child, no gender, yalada, feminine, and then you have masculine near, right, for boy, or just a word for boy near. I don't even say masculine, just for boy near, right? How you would spell your lad in the paleo is this. So that's how you would spell your lad, right? Oh man. So I swear that is right. It looks right to me. Yeah, it's right. So you got ya la duh, right? Ya la duh, right? It sounds like yalla da for female. So for the love of Yahweh, all of you, when you write, if you write the transliteration, shave the end. All right, the la and the da, the, they're connected at the end. They're the two last characters of the word, so you have to connect the sound, shorten it, right? So you would drop the a instead of yalla da, sounding like the female or the feminine for child. You just got ya lad. You just have ya lad. Ya, ya, lad, right? So it makes more sense. So you got ha la da, right? You got the yad, the lama, lad, uh yalad, yalad, lam, daleth, right? Those are your characters. Now for the feminine yalada, right? Actually, I don't have to really brace. So you remove this line right here. It never existed. Ha. E A. You got ha. So now this is the feminine for child, yalada. Now, if you do it in a transliteration previously, like fully, or all like the all character sounds, what always gotta remember the two last characters, you link them their sound together. So in the transliteration, you have ya la da ha. Instead of ya la da, you have ya la da ha. You don't want that. So what you would do is shave one letter. And now you just have ya, la, da. Ya, la, da. You see? It's starting to beat in your head, right? Because I would always mess that up. I've been through paper, and you don't want to do that. You want to get it now, quick, easy, sharp with it, and just remember. Because we're going to be doing transliterations soon, and that is really going to help you with sounding out words, and it'll get you quick, because sometimes I can understand the paleo without just reading the paleo characters. I can look at the transliterated verse and know which word is which word based off the sound. So it's the easier way, right? So the transliteration is just a bridge between the two, the characters, the paleo characters and the English characters. It's a transliteration. It's a bit like a mediator between the two. It will help you out to know which one is English and which one, how it would be in English and how it would be in the paleo characters, right? So it's a bridge between the two, and you need it. It's like Hamashiach, man. It's the bridge between the old and the new. He's a bridge between us and the Father. So if you want to deal with it, you have to know the transliteration to the T. It will guide you greatly. All right, now that we dealt with, Yalad that doesn't have a gender pronoun, and Yalada, which is female for Yalad, adding a gender pronoun, a feminine pronoun, and then we have near, which we're going to finish up with near. Right, so no, I can't do that. So that's near in the Paleo Hebrew. So when you look at the transliteration again, instead of near is na-ira. It's na-ira in the full transliteration. So what you will always want to do is combine the last two characters, which is an and nun. So an and nun, you want to put together and smash the sounds instead of ira is ear or I ire or ear, right? So it's na ear instead of ira is ear, right? So what you would do is remember when you're starting on your transliterations for your first time and you're getting to know the character sounds of the Paleo Hebrew and you want to do your transliterations, drop the last transliterated character in the English. All right? No matter what it is, trust me, it will help you. So instead of Naira, it's near now, right? Near. Na, ear. Na, ear. So, we're not done. We have two left. Actually, I'll do the grandmother and the grandfather because I have that. And but we're gonna do this first. We have man and woman in the Hebrew, feminine and masculine. So we have man. Uh, so that's the man. That's Ayash. Ayash and woman. Man. Oh man. Uh, oh, I must remember right back this is uh, so for men, as you can see, we have We have a, yasha. We have a, yasha, ayash, ayash, right? Show you. Ayash. And for the female, we have ayasha, ayasha, right? So when you deal with ayash, ayash is just the base word as in man, and to make it feminine, you add the ha at the end, making it ayash, ah, instead of ayash. All right, so let's deal with ayash first, the seemingly masculine side or masculine word, and I'm going to put in the Paleo Hebrew and transliteration of it. Okay, so you have, and I'm gonna show you. I love writing my aleph backwards. That's me personal. I personally write my aleph backwards, right? Your aleph is supposed to look like that. You see that? It's supposed to look like that. But me, it's so aesthetically pleasing for me to write it backwards. But for you, I'm going to try my best to write it how it should be, authentically, right? Now, that is man in Paleo Hebrew characters and the transliteration. Now you see the combined, aleph, yad, shah. So you have a, yash, a, yash. Now you have a, yasha in the transliteration. Now when you do a ayasha, it sounds like what? It sounds like the feminine version of ayash. So when you do the transliteration, that's why I say it's always important to drop the last letter, right? And the last letter is always usually going to be A, right? If you got an A at the end, just get rid of it. So, but literally any character, usually most of the time you remove the last transliterated letter, unless it's certain words we might, I've ran into some, but today in this lesson we won't. And I might do that later on. We'll run into some, and I'll show you why you don't erase it. But for majority of the time, you will. About 99.9% of the time, you're going to always do this. Making it yash instead of yasha, right? So, yash, like we wanted. Yash, yash, like we want, instead of ayasha, and now we're thinking it's female. Now we're going to deal with the feminine counterpart, which is ayasha. So now you see the female transliteration. You have a, you have aleph, yad, shah, ha, or hey, right? So it's ah, ya, sha. Ah, ya, sha. Right? And when you look at a transliteration, it sounds like ah, ya, sha, ha. Ah, ya, sha, ha. We don't want that. We don't want ayash ah. We want ayash ah. We want ayash ah. Right? So what we're gonna do is like we always do. We drop the A at the end. Now that we drop the A at the end, you can see. Now we have ya, sha. Ya, sha. Ya, sha. Instead of ya, sha, right? Just, So, ooh, I think the Most High is telling me something. What is this? In the back. Okay. One second. I have pins in the back of here. And this is nothing new. It happens. Ah. As soon as you bring the word out, man, Satan cometh. All this banging and erasing I've been doing, and as soon as I start getting to the good part, Satan had to knock it down, huh? But you know what? Hashatan is not over. We're still going. Here. Wow, just completely uneven. I don't know what. Okay. All right, Yashiro, it's a little cricket now. Later on, later on in today, like right after this, I'ma fix it. But Satan is a trip, man. I didn't even touch the thing. Like, oh, I just don't get it. But I don't get it. I banged on it. I smacked it. I've been rough with it, and now the tack in the back just want to act a little funny. But you know how it say he got to make everything crooked, man. But we still gonna keep the word going, man. You can't make this stuff up. I swear you can't, man. Ugh. So that would be the last. I guess I wanted to do. I wanted to do the grandmother and the grandfather. I'm gonna see if I can, most high willing, if nothing crazy happens. But so far it seems that we got that down pat. Okay. crazy. I'm not gonna ever just let that go because that's crazy to me. So, yeah, it's in my other book, and it's right over there. That's crazy. Okay. So okay. So, forgive me, Yasharala is a little cricket. We're gonna try to make it work. So, what's the next one? All right, so we're gonna do grandfather. There's multiple ways. We got great grandfather and all that. We're gonna do grandfather before Satan knocked the whole thing down, right? So grandfather would be Sabah, Sabah, Sabah. Sabah, I believe. Sabah. So that's grandfather. That's Sabah. You spell grandfather and then grandmother is very similar. Grandmother is Sabath. Sabath. But this is grandfather is Sabah. The Hebrew characters for Sabah is Sa, Sa, Ba, Ha, Sabah. So it's Sa, Ba, Ha. Right, and the transliteration for Sabah would be transliteration would be Sabaha. Sabaha. But we want Sabah, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drop that A. And we're going to make it Sabah. It's simple. Sabah and it was Sabaha, but you don't want that. We want Sabah. In this case, you won't get the two mixed up. So we're going to drop the this way. We're going to be essentially drop that. And Sabah. So for grandmother, it's Sabath. It's Sabath. So you add the th at the end and make it feminine, like we said before, Sabath. So like Akwath is Sabath. Now, just like dealing with all the transliterations before, you don't need the A at the end. Otherwise, it's sabatha, sabatha instead of sabath. So what you would do is you would compact it together. Drop that A in the transliteration. And now it's sabath, right? Sabath. 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 So that would be the transliteration for grandmother and grandfather, right? Is not much difference, but bath, I mean the at the end, the tha that's at the end, making it feminine. So most high willing, most high willing, this was edification, edifying all of Israel, and that we got deep into the gender pronouns, the singular, the plural. I believe we got the gender pronouns down pat. We got how we deal with the transliteration a bit down pat. Most high willing, everyone wrote this down. If not, the life will be saved. You can go back and look at it and laugh how Satan just tried to end everything. But with that, I want to thank all you brothers and sisters, you Akwath and Akwathium, who listened, Shemai, to me, Anya, and allowing me to teach you, right? Ayanaba, you allowed me to teach you, Haya La Lamad. You listen because, I taught you. Lamadatha, I taught you. So, with that, I want to say Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Brakatah, Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Brakatan.